So as you all know, President Donald Trump has been upfront about the fact that he is a climate change denier. He said previously that it was a hoax manufactured by the Chinese. And last week on Friday, when his own administration released a report saying that climate change will not only shrink the U.S. economy, but kill thousands of people every single year, he denied that report, saying, quote, "I don't believe it." So in an interview with Josh Dawsey of the Washington Post, he gave us a little bit more insight as to why he's a climate change denier, and what he said made absolutely no sense whatsoever. So I'm going to read to you the transcript, but bear with me because this is comparable to how we would expect a caveman to talk. He says, "One of the problems that a lot of people like myself, we have very high levels of intelligence, but we're not necessarily such believers, because people who are intelligent definitely make sure that they reassure themselves how intelligent they are. You look at our air and our water, and it's right now at a record clean. But when you look at China, and you look at parts of Asia, and when you look at South America, and when you look at many other places in this world, including Russia, including just many other places, the air is incredibly dirty. And when you're talking about an atmosphere, oceans are very small." Oh, okay. Wow. And it blows. And it blows over. It's not that funny. It's really not that funny, but oceans are very small. That that got me. Okay. Whew. And it blows over and it sails over. I mean, we take thousands. I'm literally crying. This is not that funny. I should probably not even upload this, but let's just roll with it. We take thousands of tons of garbage off of our beaches all the time. That comes over from Asia. It just flows right down the Pacific. It flows, and we say, where does it come from? And it takes many people to start off with. I am failing you to read this, but that comment about oceans being very small, I don't know what it was about that, but that just that got me, okay? I need to take some time to compose myself. What he's saying here is nothing more than obfuscation. He doesn't want to answer the question. Remember that the original question was, why do you not believe this report that your own administration produced, that 13 government agencies produced? Why do you not believe that? And he went on to talk about oceans are very small. I need to not look at that because it's going to make me laugh again, and I'm finally over it. So obviously, what he's saying here is barely coherent, to put it as nicely as I possibly can. You could try to extrapolate certain things out of what he's saying if you connect the dots, but a lot of it is just pure bullshit. Now, I was originally intending to kind of go through line by line here and explain to you why he's lying about this or that, but the whole thing is just absurd. So I want to get to another paragraph here where he kind of goes on to explain further why he denies climate science. Number 2, if you go back and if you look at articles, they talked about global freezing. They talked about at some point the planets could have freeze to death. Then it's going to die of heat exhaustion. There is movement in the atmosphere. There's no question as to whether or not it's man-made and whether or not the effects that you're talking about are there. I don't see it. Not nearly like it is. Do we want clean water? Absolutely. Do we want clean air to breathe? Absolutely. The fire in California, where I was, if you looked at the floor of the fire, they have trees that were fallen. They did no forest management, no forest maintenance, and you can take a match like this and light a tree trunk when that thing is laying there for more than 14 or 15 months. And it's a massive problem in California. Again, what he's saying here is not attached to reality at all. And I don't even know if he is intentionally trying to lie or if he's just rambling on about whatever bullshit pops into his head. But what he's saying doesn't make any sense. We have one more paragraph here. You go to other places where they have denser trees. It's more dense, where the trees are more flammable. They don't have forest fires like this because they maintain. And it was very interesting. I was watching the firemen and they're raking brush. Oh God, they're raking brush. You know, the tumbleweed and brush and all this stuff that's growing underneath? It's on fire and they're raking it, working so hard, and they're raking all this stuff. If that was raked in the beginning, there'd be nothing to catch on fire. It's very interesting to see. A lot of the trees, they took tremendous burn at the bottom, but they didn't catch on fire. The bottom is all burned out, but they didn't catch on fire because they sucked the water. They're wet. You need forest management, and they don't have it. So, they sucked the water. They're wet. There are so many gems in this, and I'm laughing because it's so stupid, but at the same time, it's really sad because his stupidity is going to get us all killed. I mean, what can you do besides laugh? Because I don't know how else to respond to this level of delusion and absurdity. He's talking about raking brush to stop forest fires. Like, if you clean the forests and you maintain them better, then that will help. Okay, even if you bought into this theory, it's not correct. It's just not true. But even if he bought into that, wouldn't you not want to cut funding to forest management? Because his administration did just that. So, I mean, the solutions that he's proposing, he's failing to acknowledge that he's been problematic in accomplishing what he thinks will solve this crisis. I mean, the guy is a fucking idiot. I'm honestly shocked that he remembers to breathe every single day, because this is pure insanity, what we are reading here. And this isn't just, any individual. I would be shocked if I read this and I didn't know who said this. I'd be shocked to learn that it was a toddler, but this is the President of the United States saying this. Someone who actually has the power and influence needed to take action on climate change. When asked about why he denies climate science, he says things like, they sucked the water, they're wet, and oceans are very small. I mean, my toddler nephew, who is 4 years old, I think that he is someone who I can have a more coherent conversation with than Donald Trump. I mean, I've never spoken with Donald Trump, thankfully, but just hearing him speak, this is embarrassing. And people around the world, they probably hear him say things like this, and they think, wow, most Americans must be stupid to elect someone like this. I mean, I don't think they're wrong to judge us that way based on who we have as our leader.
Support this podcast by becoming a patron at patreon.com/Humanist Report.